Hi, I'm Cheryl Kagan, very proud to be the senator for Gaithersburg and Rockville. Welcome to this week's episode of Kibbitzing with Kagan. I am so thrilled that my friend Michele Potter is taking time to chat with me today. Michele, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Senator Kagan. It is an honor and a privilege.
Thank you. So Michele, you've had a great career in Gaithersburg, and I want to talk about a couple of different things, but primarily the first two, the most recent two jobs you've had. Currently, you are the fairly new executive director at Asbury Methodist Village in Gaithersburg. And before that, for 20 years, you worked for the city of Gaithersburg, primarily for the Rec and Parks Department. So congratulations on a wonderful career and for all you've done for the wonderful city of Gaithersburg.
Thank you very, very much.
Absolutely. I'm wearing my Gaithersburg green, I'll have you know. So where do we start? Why don't we start with the city of Gaithersburg, and why don't you talk about what you did at Parks and Rec and what you are proudest of?
Okay, so I was the director of Parks, Recreation, and Culture for the city of Gaithersburg for a little over 20 years.
Yep.
So served 70,000 residents in 10 square miles. What I'm most proud of is there's so much. I'm most proud of completing a master plan for the future. And it was approved by the Planning Commission and the Mayor and City Council prior to my retirement. So it set Gaithersburg on a course for the next 10 years that will be fulfilled. And then I felt like, okay, it's time for the next director to go ahead and pick up where I left off now that we've charted the course.
That's great. Well, so let's shift to something more fun than a master plan. Totally important. But why should people come to Gaithersburg? Why should people live there or move their business there? Why should they go there to play? Talk about the really cool things that Gaithersburg has in parks, rec, and culture.
Oh, there's so many wonderful amenities. So Gaithersburg really places an emphasis on being able to provide programs and services and facilities for all ages, all abilities, and all interests. So there is a performing arts theater that is a 99-seat, beautiful, intimate theater.
It's called the Arts Barn, and it's
called the Arts Barn in Kentlands. That's correct. Yes. There is a vibrant, wonderful youth services program that the city of Gaithersburg operates 2 youth centers, one on the east side of the city that has an incredible sound studio, and one on the west side of the city that offers a climbing wall. And both of those facilities are LEED certified. So let's
define what LEED is.
So it is leadership in environmental design, and it is geothermal systems, and it is solar tubes for light, and it is green roofs. So there's actually plant material growing on the roofs. So there is signage throughout the buildings. It's recycled content. So the floors are recycled materials. The furniture is recycled materials. So there's educational signage that is throughout those facilities that explains the LEED components.
It's very cool. Talk about the book festival, just because if we don't include that, the mayor might get mad at both of us.
Agree. So the mayor approached me.
Let's say his name.
Judd Ashman, Mayor Judd Ashman.
The wonderful mayor of Gaithersburg.
Wonderful mayor of Gaithersburg approached me several years ago with this idea of hosting a book festival. And I said, Judd, we tried it before inside our gymnasiums and it really wasn't well attended. He goes, no, 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 no. Listen to my vision. And boy, did his vision come to life and explode. So the book festival is held in May annually, and it was held on the grounds of City Hall and the Concert Pavilion. But I have to say, during the pandemic, they really stepped up to the plate and they did a month-long book festival. And I text Judd Ashman, the wonderful mayor of Gaithersburg, the greatest mayor in the world.
Of the greatest city. Of the greatest city.
I text him and I said, I am sitting here with some residents of Asbury Methodist Village, and they're truly enjoying this book festival, even more so than being in person, because they can watch every author and have the intimate setting and listening to all of their questions and answers after they're done with their presentations, and they're thoroughly enjoying it, and they can go at their own pace on the YouTubes, the videos. So Judd, greatest mayor in Gaithersburg, in the world, said, oh my goodness, you just made my day. So yeah, so we're getting a lot of positive feedback from the virtual book festival this year.
That's great.
So who knows, maybe in the future they'll do a combination.
Yeah, that could be. That might be the best of both worlds, actually.
Yes.
Before we shift to Asbury, your current job, you did, after your wonderful, wonderful tenure running the Parks, Rec, and Culture Department, you became Gaithersburg's lobbyist in Annapolis, and you got to work with us. And I'm wondering what surprised you, what was interesting or unexpected about being a lobbyist in Annapolis?
So I was the only person in the history of Gaithersburg to hold 2 full-time positions. So I had a wonderful, wonderful staff. And the new director, Carolyn Mueller, said, Michelle, it was fantastic that you were the director and I was riding a bicycle with training wheels. And you were mentoring me to take on this role as you were doing the advocacy on behalf of Gaithersburg. Nice. So I absolutely loved being the legislative affairs manager, working with you and the other elected officials in Annapolis. And I think there weren't that many surprises because I think I've done it my entire professional career. Mm-hmm. And being on the board of directors for Maryland Municipal League and being on that front all of the time. Mm-hmm. But I would encourage anyone that if they are in support of something or in opposition of something, usually you have the naysayers that come out or the people that are in opposition to something. It's so important if you support something to also come out and testify, attend hearings, your local mayor council meetings when you are live in Annapolis, and you can go down to testify. And yeah, it's every person is part of the process. And you elected officials listen to the constituents. I can honestly say that.
Thank you. We work hard at it. Okay, Michelle, so it is time to pivot to talk about Asbury. I'm so proud to be the senator for the residents of Asbury Methodist Village. They are smart and engaged and thoughtful. They ask me the hardest questions when I come to speak to the Asbury Democratic Club and all that. Why don't you talk about your new position as executive director and how it's going so far?
So I will say they are the most educated, most engaged citizens in the city of Gaithersburg. So I am proud and honored to be selected to be the executive director of Asbury Methodist Village. We are a nonprofit organization. We are the largest continuing care retirement community, and it's also dubbed as CCRC in Montgomery County. And we're one of the 20th largest in the United States. So I didn't know if you knew that.
I did not.
So we're home right now, approximately to 1,200 residents. We are low in our occupancy right now due to the pandemic, but we have 90 in Kinley Assisted Living. We have nearly 200 in our Wilson Healthcare Skilled Nursing Facility. And we have about, the remainder of that is in residential living. So it is residents that are 60 and over. And we have a foundation that has a benevolent care program. So I don't know if people are really familiar with what that is. I didn't know that until I came here, but it provides financial support to those who outlive their financial resources or healthcare. Their financial resources of no fault of their own. So the foundation will cover their expenses while they continue to reside here. And we are one of the largest employers in Gaithersburg. We have over 800 employees, which we call associates, and they serve in hospitality related or healthcare positions. And we're so active in the Gaithersburg Germantown Chamber of Commerce as a result of that.
Fantastic. So I was going to ask how Asbury is different from other retirement communities. You've answered that a little bit. Anything you want to add on that?
Oh, you're going to hear what we're up to.
Okay.
So we're going to set ourselves apart from the rest of the industry in a couple of minutes when you can continue asking questions.
Okay. Well, last time, there was a time when I was there and I came with the secretary of the Department of the Environment, and we looked at the gardens and we looked at some of the green amenities. So maybe you can talk about some of the environmental aspects of Asbury, but then I want to hear about the new programs that you're working on.
Sure. But what I'd really like listeners to understand is that leaving your home to move into a community like ours does not mean giving up the life that you've built. So you're still in charge of your life and your decisions, but a new house is just the beginning of what you gain here. So you were talking about our beautiful, we have 134 acre campus with a certified arboretum. I have a hard time saying the arboretum, a certified wildlife at work site. We have a 17 acre wildlife preserve. And then we have amenities that you talked about. We have the resident community gardens, and they are gorgeous. Some of the residents pick themes, and they'll have like a Japanese garden. They're absolutely gorgeous. We have tennis and bocce courts. We have the Roseboro Cultural Arts and Wellness Center, an indoor pool, fitness center, computer labs, television studio, 275-seat theater, which I believe you've come to have meetings there a lot.
Yep.
We also have outpatient physical therapy, a pharmacist, physicians on site, Asbury Home Health Services for those residents who want to stay in their homes longer. We can support you in that way. And then we have over 100 clubs and committees offering something for everyone, just like the city does. But the residents here run their own newspaper, television station. They operate their own college called the Key School. And they created an intergenerational mentoring program. They put on concerts and musicals and much, much more. So they are so engaged. I think they retire to come here and work full time.
So how often do the ideas get generated by the associates, and how often by the residents?
It's a combination. It truly is. So the vision for Asbury Communities is redefining the expectations of aging, and we live that philosophy. The residents do, and the employees do.
Fantastic. You've got an initiative you're working on with Harvard. Why don't you tell us about that?
Sure. So we're very excited. We're partnering with neuroscientists from Harvard Medical School and Massachusetts General Hospital McCain Center for Brain Health. So they created a tool called React Neuro, and that's REACT NEURO, if anyone wants to Google it. But it combines the science-based brain wellness practices and cutting-edge brain diagnostic tool that we're piloting here at Asbury Methodist Village. So it's truly an honor to be the only partner in the Mid-Atlantic region. And we have 25 residents, none of whom have any memory issues. They're enrolled in the pilot, and they use virtually reality headsets to take a 7-minute exam that monitors eye movement, changes in voice, and changes in movement to measure execution function, attention, and memory. So the residents at Asbury Methodist Village are contributing to the data that will create the REACT's normal brain function benchmarks. Isn't that cool?
That is totally cool. Executive functioning is something that can decline with age, and certainly with dementia, Alzheimer's, and all that. I assume they're going to be monitoring for those types of developments.
Absolutely. So eventually the tool is going to be used to identify markers for early detection of neurological disease and develop treatment plans that support potential cognitive decline. Wow. So exactly as you were saying, so our residents on the forefront for this pilot for the world.
That's awesome. So I love bragging about representing Gaithersburg and Rockville, and especially Gaithersburg through the high-tech corridor. And so here's another way that we're at the forefront of bioscience, biohealth, and some of the research that is making a difference through COVID and in other ways. So
And yes, I was going to mention one more thing.
Please.
So we just entered into a research partnership with Harvard University, the National Institutes of Health, NIH, and the National Institute of Aging, NIA, to run a different pilot. So the program is going to seek to utilize biosensing technology to help inform and predict health outcomes while providing recommendations that may ultimately reduce health-related challenges. So we're doing that in our assisted living facility. So we've been having a lot of meetings and setting up that pilot. So as you can see, we are hoping to be the destination for brain health for senior living. And these two pilots are in addition to what we're already doing for brain health here on our campus with our programming.
amazing, amazing. Why don't you talk a little more about the intergenerational mentoring? Because I think that's pretty wonderful.
So we have the Gaithersburg Community Beloved Initiative, CBGI, and the city of Gaithersburg is a very strong partner in that, along with other nonprofit organizations. So our seniors run that program, and it is based here in Asbury Methodist Village. The residents created the program. The residents set their work plan of what they want to accomplish. They work with all of the schools. During COVID, they've been doing food drives. They've been doing coat drives. They've been trying to read virtually to youth. They've been trying to do everything that they possibly can to help children and families succeed in and out of a pandemic. And they do a lot of intergenerational programming. We bring youth here, they'll do pool parties. And we're going to expand that program because one of the exciting things I'm going to tell you about with our upcoming renovations is we're going to be able to do more with the youth here.
All right. So you mentioned the pandemic, which was further up on my list there. COVID-19 threw just a curveball to everyone. And it was just as you had started as executive director. Why don't you talk about the journey at Asbury?
Yeah, so I started with Asbury on January 13th. And the pandemic hit 5-6 weeks later. Yeah. So it was a big learning curve for me, coming from a nonprofit and government public sector background, but not a healthcare background. Mm-hmm. So I learned a lot in a very short amount of time. So, but I'm really most proud that we as a community conducted several intensive COVID-19 vaccination clinics here for our residents and associates. So we started with, the tiered hierarchy that the federal government and the state had issued, that you start with your skilled nursing facilities. Mm-hmm. So we had our first clinics right off the bat, January 7th and 8th, and we administered over 400 first round doses of Pfizer. And then our second doses were 3 weeks later. Then we quickly moved to our independent living with our residents and associates in that area. And we were given 13 days notice that Holy Cross Health Hospital was going to provide us with vaccines.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So the clock started ticking, T-minus 13. Thank goodness for a very strong background in event planning. Yes. Because it truly was an event. So we vaccinated over 900 people in 3 days on this campus with Moderna. Wow. So we had February 1st through the 3rd, and then March 1st through the 3rd. Thank goodness the dates aligned. Yes. But it was not just having a vaccine clinic. Holy Cross Health Partners said, we'll give you the vaccine. You need to run your own vaccination clinic. So we partnered with Montgomery College and the University of Maryland at Shady Grove Nursing student programs. Mm-hmm. And then I begged on social media So friends also came forward, and nurses, doctors, and everyone provided the vaccines. And we even had to take it a step further, where we did a training session with Holy Cross on January 25th and did a mock clinic. But they told us that we needed to do all the paperwork to register our residents. We couldn't send the link out because remember all those vaccine hunters?
Right.
We couldn't have our residents send the link out to their family members.
Right.
So we had to create a paper registration form with all the questions in the state portal. Then we had to distribute all the forms to 900 people. We had to get them back. And then we had to manually register these 900 residents, not once, but twice for their first and their second doses.
Oh my golly.
So thankfully we had the support from the Asbury Support and Collaboration Center. Even Doug Leidick, our CEO and president, came to do data entry along with our chief financial officer, our attorneys, many more. It was a whole village. And then our residents stepped up to the plate, and they were volunteers on every front, running the clinic every day, long days. We couldn't have done it without the partnerships that we had with the nursing schools, the residents, Holy Cross. And then February 9th, we did our first clinic at Kinley Assisted Living with Pfizer. And I am happy to report that in total at this point in time is we have fully vaccinated 97% of 1,200 residents.
Wow.
And 82% of our associates, 800 staff. So we're thankful to have been at the forefront of the national opportunities to receive these life-saving vaccines.
That's amazing. So the 3% of residents and the 18% of associates who are not vaccinated, was that lack of supply? Was that I don't want one? What's the status on that?
So with residents, we have new residents that could move in every day.
Yes.
We have a vaccination clinic coming up for new residents. The state is coming to Wilson Healthcare Center to administer vaccines again. So, and then we have residents that are going out to mass vaccination clinics that are walk-in now in Montgomery County. And then for associates, we make vaccines mandatory, like the flu vaccine, but we have to ensure that it's FDA approved first. That's the big controversy, is there's some companies that are requiring it, but there's lawsuits. So we have to wait till it's FDA approved, then it will be mandatory here unless you have a waiver for religious reasons or medical reasons, and it's reviewed by the Asbury clinical team. So having allergies per se is not an official reason to decline the vaccine.
Right. Okay. That's amazing. What other restrictions or preventative health measures did you put into place during COVID? I know that you were all over it. I could follow along on your social media.
We've had so many, Senator Kagan. Everyone asked me if I could write a book. I've got a really big PowerPoint presentation that I did for Leadership Montgomery about all of our precautions. But when the pandemic first arrived, we shut down our campus. No visitors. We could have family members drop items off at the gatehouse, but we were not open. We closed down all the buildings, entrances. You had to go through the main door only. We purchased these machines that take your temperature called 98.6. We still do to this day screening. I am wearing a wristband. So there is a series of questions that every staff member has to answer. Come in and get your temperature taken even before you start work. So there's so many protocols that are in place. Since we're in a good place right now, restrictions are lighter in residential living. We still have very, very strong protocols at assisted living and the Wilson Healthcare Center.
You indicated before we went on live tape here that residents can now be unmasked and associates though stay masked. Why don't you say a little bit about that, what the guidelines are?
Sure. So residents in residential living can be unmasked
Anywhere?
Anywhere, with the exception of when they go to our on-campus physical therapy or the CVS pharmacy or Holy Cross Health Partners, our clinic here on campus, they're considered healthcare.
Mhm.
They have to wear it if they're visiting anyone in assisted living or the skilled nursing facility, and they need to wear it for transportation, for their trips to their medical appointments or anywhere off campus. And that falls in line with the Montgomery County
Yes.
ordinance. So masks are required for public transportation
Mhm.
and in healthcare. So we mirror what the county does, and we even take it a step further. So we've been through the whole gamut of opening and closing and reopening and closing. So here we say it's a light switch, with a dimmer switch, and it's a thermostat. So we turn things up and we scale it back continuously, because we have to keep everyone safe here.
So I want to wrap up this portion of our kibitz, but talk about the impact of all the protections. How did Asbury do?
We fared very, very well. We opened our own COVID unit in the Wilson Healthcare Center, and we take external admissions. So if someone doesn't need to be on a ventilator, they're welcome to come here. Our COVID unit has no one. We have no active COVID cases of residents on our campus.
That's amazing.
We have one associate that is positive, but she is a private duty aide that came into assisted living. So it was not truly our Asbury associate, but we have to claim them since they work in our building.
Sure.
So we have one case.
That's remarkable. Congratulations, Michele. That's
Thank
really
you.
an accomplishment. That's impressive. So let's pivot to you as Michele Potter. You are a fanatical exercise person and runner. Why don't you talk a little bit about your history in fitness and running? And
Sure.
and triathlons and
I'll
all that.
I'll try to be brief. So I grew up a gymnast and always ran for fitness, and decided to see, I'll try to do some races. So I started training for races, and I think I've done over 50 marathons, which are 26.2-mile runs. And I've done 6 ultra marathons, which are 50 milers. And then I taught myself to swim, and I started in triathlons.
Yep.
And then I was doing an event called duathlon, which is run, bike, run. So friends of mine said, "You're such a strong runner and you're a biker, you should try these duathlons." So I placed well on the podium, first, second, or third in my age group or overall. My friend said, "You're doing so well, why don't you go out for the US team?" So I flew to California to a US qualifier, and I made it in 2001. And I was on the US team, requalified for the next 6 years. So I was on the US team from 2001 to 2007.
I didn't know this about you.
Yes. So
Wow.
I wore the red, white, and blue, competing in other countries. It was phenomenal. Maybe one day I'll go back to it, because you can continue to do that in different age groups.
Wow.
So it's great when you're in another country and they're yelling, USA, USA. It just brings tears to your eyes. And I'll tell you, I'll just share this real quick story. So my first year on the team was 2001, and I flew to Rimini, Italy.
Nice.
And I didn't know the planes had crashed into the towers at New York on September 11th. So I saw what happened in the United States from abroad.
Oh my God.
So traditionally, like the Olympics, they line up the Parade of Nations by alphabetical order. They put the United States team first. And I'm wearing my USA polo, holding an American flag. And the next day, my teammates came up to me and said, "Michele, you made the cover of the newspaper in Rimini, Italy. And in Italian, it says, 'American mourns over tragedy.'" And I'm wiping a tear from my eye in the Parade of Nations.
Unbelievable.
So that's
Wow.
my story.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So then I got into triathlons, and I did all different types of distances. And one year I was running the JFK 50 miler and was running beside some military men. And they said, "Man, an Ironman so much easier than this." And I said, what is an Ironman? And they said, it's a 2.4-mile swim, 112-mile bike ride, and then a marathon, 26.2-mile run. I'm like, I went home that night and signed up for Ironman Florida. So I've done 18 Ironman, and I competed in Hawaii,
I remember.
which is the World Championships in Kona, which is everyone's goal.
Yep.
And I did that in 2018. So I've been very, very blessed.
I never know whether to think of you as a crazy lady, or just like heroic and impressive, or a little bit of both. I think it's amazing and insane. Good for you.
Thank you. My friends think I'm insane, but
Yeah,
my husband is right there with me. We met training for Ironman, and we've been happily married for going on 13 years, and we are very competitive with each other.
yeah, Chuck. That's awesome. So before we go to our Fast Five, Michele, there are people I've heard talking about COVID-19, and they call it that because everyone gains 19 pounds. And thank God that didn't happen to me. But there are people who have really struggled with sedentary, sitting in front of Zooms all day. What's a tip if someone wants to take off some pandemic weight or get healthier? How would you suggest that they get started?
Walking is the first step. So just taking breaks, even walking up and down your steps in between your Zoom and WebEx and Teams meetings.
Yes.
So walking is really good. And then don't have snacks out at your workstation and snack throughout the day. So make it intentional to plan ahead your food. And this is what I'm going to have for breakfast. This is what I'm going to have for lunch. This is what I'm going to have for dinner. And these are my snacks. And these are the times I'm going to eat. And I'm going to stick to it.
Wow.
So that's something really, really easy to do.
Good for you.
You don't need to join a gym for that.
There you go. Well, I'm a bit of a midnight snacker, which is, I know, totally against all the rules. It's late night and unhealthy stuff, but whatever. All right, we're going to go to our Fast Five.
A little nervous about this.
I know. They're different. They're always different. So even though you've done your homework. So, Michele Potter, Asbury Methodist Village. First off, what is your favorite place and time to run?
My favorite time to run is in the morning before work, like this morning, because I de-stress to deal with my day. If I don't run before work, it doesn't happen because my day builds and builds and I don't know what time I'm going to get out of work. And my favorite place to run is around Black Hills. So I can run from my home to Black Hills. I don't have to encounter any cars. And I've got the singing of the birds and the geese and the ducks on the lakes and the beautiful trails. And I just love living in Upper Montgomery County.
Fantastic. Number two, what is your favorite restaurant in Gaithersburg or Rockville?
That's a hard one.
I know.
But I would have to say Yuraku is located on Middlebrook and 355. And I love their sushi and they have the best prices and the best food.
So Middlebrook and 355, not Gaithersburg, but okay, we're going to let you get away with
Oh, sorry. Yes. But that's my favorite.
Okay, that's all right. Question three, who is your favorite performer, or is there a favorite song, or what type of genre of music do you find most, motivating and inspiring?
It depends what I'm doing. I love classic rock, but when I am doing a very hard run or lifting weights, I listen to a harder grunge type of music.
I love that.
And as I'm working and listening to Pandora, I like, softer music and even just instrumental music. So being having a love for the arts and culture myself, I love all genres.
Cool. What do you like best about working with senior citizens?
They inspire me each and every single day. So just their feedback, their appreciation. My office is lined with greeting cards and thank you cards, keeping them safe during the pandemic. And I just love when I can getting out on campus and I get my energy from them.
Great. And the fifth question, as you know, Michele Potter, what is your hidden secret superpower? What is something that you're really good at that most folks can't do?
So I'm a morning person and a night person, and I don't require much sleep at all.
Hmm.
And everyone wants to know where I get my energy from. Do I plug in at night? Am I like the energy bunny? So I don't know. I just keep going.
I think we're both a little bit the Energizer Bunny, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, well, you are amazing. I have so long admired you and your, not just your energy, but your creativity, your patience, your kindness, your collaborative, great positive attitude. You're just so wonderful to be around. And Asbury is very, very lucky to have you there.
Likewise. And you've been such a big, strong mentor in my life.
Thank you. Thank you.
So love working with you. And you are welcome here anytime.
I would love to come back whenever it's safe and the rules allow it. I would love to come back to Asbury.
Oh, great. We'll plan on it.
Perfect. Well, Michele Potter, please stay safe. Continue all your great work in the community and especially at Asbury Methodist Village. Thank you for all you do to make that such a special, safe, uplifting place for people to live and visit. I look forward to seeing you before too long in person.
You as well. Stay safe and stay well.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.